Which of the following is a factored form of the expression 5x squared minus 13x minus 6? In this question, we have a quadratic trinomial, which we need to factor. The leading coefficient is 5. And because the leading coefficient is more than 1, we're going to have to multiply the leading coefficient by the constant. And so that's going to give us negative 30. And so what we want to find is two factors of negative 30 that give us a sum of negative 13. This is a technique I use with my students to help them set it up. So the factors of 30, we have many different factors of 30. We have 1 and 30, 2 and 15, and I'm going to stop right here. 2 and 15 looks like it will work. So one of these numbers would need to be negative, and obviously the 15 is going to need to be negative because we want to get negative 13 when we add them together. So negative 15 times 2 will give us negative 30, and negative 15 plus 2 will give us negative 13. So those are the two numbers that we're going to use to substitute for that middle term. Now, pay attention to the variable x. Because of that x, we are going to need to also substitute an x when we replace that middle term with those two terms. Now, the next thing we're going to do is factor, but there are two ways you can do it. We can factor by grouping, or we can also use a technique, which I'm going to show you here. A lot of my students prefer this method, so I'm going to use this one. So basically what you do is you draw a grid where you have 4 quadrants. In the first quadrant, you would put the first term, which is the 5x squared. Or not the first quadrant, sorry, the second quadrant. In the fourth quadrant, we would put the last term, which is the negative 6. And then we would put the other two terms. And it doesn't matter which way we put it, but I'm going to put the negative 15x over here. And I'll put the 2x down here. Okay? So that's how you would set it up. And then what you would do next is you would factor both horizontally and vertically. So if we factor this, if we factor the first row, right, we can obviously take out 5x. If we factor the second row, we can take out a 2. If we factor the first column, we can take out an x. If you factor the second column, we can take out a negative 3. So we end up with the two factors, 5x plus 2 and x minus 3. Now, if you're unsure whether or not these are the correct factors, what you can do is FOIL these two binomials just to make sure this is the correct solution. So let's go ahead and do that. So if we take the 5x and we distribute it, so 5x times x, which is going to give us 5x squared. And then we take the 5x times negative 3. That's going to give us negative 15x. And then if we take the second term, 2, and we distribute that, 2 times x is going to give us 2x. 2 times negative 3 is going to give us negative 6. And then if we combine those two like terms in the middle, we end up with 5x squared minus 13x minus 6. And so the solution is correct, and therefore the answer would have to be A.